Hi, I'm Justin from GOLDSON Homes, and today we're going to be deep diving into whether or not you should take that property deal that you've got your eye on. No matter what strategy you're using within property, be that doing a BRR or doing a development deal, you need to know what you can pay for that specific project or that property. As many seasoned investors know, you make your money in property when you buy and not when you sell. So let's have a look at the current deal that we're looking at and what we're going to do to evaluate that deal. Okay, so this is a deal that we are currently looking at. It's a 5-bed detached house in the middle of Guildford where we currently look to invest. It's got about 2 bathrooms, 109 square meters total, pretty decent sized garden. However, the property is in a pretty bad condition. It needs a good refurb, probably a rewire, replumbing, and yeah, new kitchen, and just rework the floor plan a bit. So let's jump right into it. This is the 5-step system that we use to value any property deal that we're going to go into. So the first step would be to find comparables within the area. To do this, we're going to head over to Rightmove and click on sold house prices within the top banner of Rightmove. The reason we use sold house prices is because you can't look at properties that are currently on the market, because those properties have not actually been sold. Those properties could have been on there for 10 months or so, and that's the estate agent's valuation and not the actual valuation that somebody has paid actual cash for that property. So we want to look for properties that have actually been sold within the area. So let's have a look on Rightmove. So we're going to go to sold house prices within your area. So we're going to enter in the postcode, do that, and a whole bunch of properties are going to come up. Now the thing is, we want to be very specific and find comparables that match the exact property that we're looking at. We want to compare apples with apples. So we don't want to be comparing a 3-bed terraced house with a 3-bed detached house, because the actual value of those properties, one's going to be more desirable than the other one. So we're going to want to put in a few filters. So if we have a look, if we're looking at a detached house, we want to put in detached within the filters. We also want to make sure that the property price that we're looking at is quite relative. So comparing a property from 2017 is not going to be good, because it's not going to give the current market valuations within 2024. So we want to make sure that the properties that we're looking at are sold within the last year. Now, it might be quite hard to find properties exactly to that specification, but you want to find something very close. There's no point in looking in something that's 2-3 miles down the road, because the desirability of that location is due to specific things. So transport links, etc., are going to play a big part. So you want to look for something within a 1/4 mile of the area. So once you've refined your search, you should have a list of properties within Rightmove that you can start comparing to. Now, not every single property on that refined list is going to be a perfect match. However, just go through them and try to find something as close as possible to the property you're looking at. So now, in our case, we actually only have one on the list. However, this is quite a good match. It's a 4-bed detached house. It's about 0.2 miles away from the property, and it's in a sort of similar condition. Although it's 1 bedroom less, it still has the same amount of bathrooms, and yeah, needs a bit of work. Maybe not as much, but definitely needs some work doing to it. So an important thing to note when you are going through all the comparables is you may find a property that is in very good condition, whereas your property that you're looking at is needs a bit of refurbishment. These properties can still be very valuable to have and record them as comparables, because once you've refurbed your property, you're going to want an endpoint valuation to see what you can refinance that property at, or what you can sell that property at in the future, and what the price point is going to be. So very valuable to keep those properties and to record them. The next thing you're going to want to do when you're going through your comparables is record them. I prefer to do it in a spreadsheet, because the next few steps also use figures within a spreadsheet and some formulas within there. So what you want to record within the spreadsheet is the description of the property. So, of the comparable at least. What the property, how many bedrooms is it, how far away it is from the property that you're looking at, and just some basic details to give you a better idea. Also putting a link into the Rightmove sold website will give you a better idea to come back to that property at the end. You want the address, the postcode, the sold price, and the sold date as well. Once you have found and recorded 3 properties within the area, that will be 2 properties with exact comparables, so same condition and everything, and 1 property that is in a very good condition that you can use for your endpoint valuation. You're ready to move on to the next step, and you should have a much better idea of what the property prices within that specific area are like. Right, step 2, square meterage calculation. So you may have noticed that in some areas it's quite hard to find exact comparables. As you can see with our one, we only had 1 property within a quarter mile of the property that we're looking at. So how do we still value these properties with a lack of comparables? To do this, we use a square meterage calculation. And essentially what this is going to do is give us a price, or an average price per square meters of all the sold prices of all the properties within the area. And that specific, or that average per square meter, we can then multiply by the floor area of the property that we're looking at. Might sound a bit complicated, but trust me, it's very easy. So to start, what you're going to want to do is make another section within the spreadsheet with the headings address, postcode, sold date, sold price, square meterage, and then price per square meter. You should be able to see that on your screen now. Once you've set up the spreadsheet in this way, we'll head back over to Rightmove, where we have put in all our filters. Now all I've done here is adjusted the filter to go for half a mile, not a quarter mile, just to get us a few more properties, because I think you can actually do that with this calculation. It shouldn't impact it that much. What we're going to then do is basically record every single one of these properties that we see here, making sure they're all detached and all sold within the last year. We're going to want to input all these details, so everything you see here, into the spreadsheet, making sure to leave the square meterage calculation or the square meterage column blank. So once you've inputted all of the information from Rightmove into your spreadsheet, you're then going to want to have a look at the EPC register. Now you might be thinking, I'm doing a property valuation, why do I need to look at the EPC register? Well, when any property is sold within the UK, it legally has to have an EPC attached to it. That is where the EPC register comes in, because all these details from your EPC are registered on the government website, and in there gives you the exact square meterage of any property. So let's take a look at an example. So what we want to do is get the postcode. We're having a look at this one, which is 287 South Lane. And take the postcode, go onto the EPC register, which is this one here. Scroll down, start now. We're looking at domestic property, or if you're looking at commercial property, you can look at a non-domestic one, and you want to enter the postcode there, and then scroll down to find your property. So right here, it will give us the square meterage of the property, which is 142 square meters, which we can then come into our spreadsheet and input that in, which will be 142. You can then run a formula to give you a price per square meter, or essentially it is the price divided by the square meterage will give you a price per square meter. So if any of you are confused and you don't know what an EPC is basically the energy performance certificate of a property. And basically they do a bunch of tests, or like an air test within the property to see how airtight it is, and also the thermal loss that the property has. So what the insulation is like. Most new build properties will have a very good EPC, whereas older properties that were built maybe 100, 200 years ago are going to have a very bad EPC. And it just gives you a basic idea of how much your bills, etc. during winter for heating will be costing you. So once you've added in all the properties onto your spreadsheet, basically gone through and added in all the square meterage, then you can use some simple calculations to basically just get the average. If you're not good at Excel or anything like that, there's loads of videos on YouTube which just explains sort of what the formulas can do for you and will help you work out. Once you've got an average square meterage in the area, well, price per square meter, you can then times that or multiply that by the total square meterage of the property you are looking at, and that should give you a price per square meter calculation, well, the value of the property that you're looking at. Step number 3, you're going to want to work out the rental yield of the property. So why is it important to work out your rental yield? Well, if you're looking at refinancing the property and renting it out, you want to know what your expected returns are going to be with what you're putting into the property. Or if you're looking at selling the property on, maybe to another investor, they're all going to want to know what the rental yield is going to be, and they will give you a specific criteria of what they want. So if you're looking at selling that property on, you need to know what the rental yield is. To work out the rental yield, it's quite easy. You can just go onto Rightmove, go onto the rental properties that are currently sort of on the market. I don't think there's any rental prices. I mean, there's probably loads of websites that will give you the areas, but to find it on Rightmove, you can find a very specific to your area. You also don't want to be looking at the highest price in the area or something that's on the lower end. You want to find something just in the middle, hasn't been on the site for too long. Maybe you've been on the site for maybe 2-3 weeks. It's in the middle of the price range, and that should give you a good idea of what your rental per month will be. If you're looking for the rental yield on an HMO, you might want to look at spare room, because this is where a lot of HMOs in a lot of areas are advertised, because you're advertising per room. And again, you don't want to look at the highest price, you don't want to look at the lowest price either. You want to find something that's just sort of in the middle, and that will give you a fairly realistic valuation of what your rental yield will be per month. So step number 4, you're going to want to work out your exit strategy. Knowing the exit strategy before you even purchase the property is very important. Now, why is this important? Well, if you're looking at doing a flip where you want to purchase a property, do it up and sell it straight away, you want to get that property for as cheap as possible, because there are going to be some unforeseen costs that are going to come into play, and these will eat into your profit margin quite significantly. However, if you're looking at going to refinance the property and rent it out and keep it for 20-30 years, you can afford to pay a bit more for that property if it's a really good deal, because over 20-30 years you can pay off that sort of little extra bit that you're paying for the property right now. So knowing your exit strategy is key before you even purchase the property. So the 5th and final step, you're going to want to put the deal into a calculator or a spreadsheet. So what we do is we have multiple spreadsheets that we use for each different type of deal that we're doing. So a flip will have a specific spreadsheet for that. And what this is going to do is basically allow us to analyze the full deal and all the costs involved and see what our returns will be over the long term. Now, another important feature that we have within our spreadsheets is the desired ROI to the purchase price of the property. And essentially what this calculation is going to do is let us put all the figures in that we have and give us a purchase price, or maximum purchase price that we can pay for the property, and the return that we will be getting. So we'll put in a return of, let's say, 15%, and this will give us the price that we have to purchase the property at to receive those returns. Once you have gone through all 5 steps, you should have a much better idea of what the property prices within the area are, and what the value of the property deal that you are looking at, what you can pay for that property. Another valuable way that you can get insights within an area and understand the prices a bit better is talking to estate agents. We want to remember that estate agents are not there to just give you evaluations. They are there to sell property. So instead of just trying to get as much information out of them as possible, you want to try to build a relationship with them that you can both benefit from. I hope you have found this video helpful, and if you'd like any more information on what we do at GOLDSON Homes within property investment, comment property in the comments below, or you can click the link in the description and I'll take you through to our website where you can contact us and we'll be in touch.